Hey guys, what's going on? Weekend Ranger here. So today we're going to be going over how to change your rifle stock on your AR-15 from a rifle length buttstock to a carbine length buttstock. Here we have a regular 8.2 length rifle buttstock on the back of the AR-15 lower. This is going to be about an 8-minute process to change it out from the rifle length to the carbine length. The new carbine length one we have here is the Magpul MOE fixed carbine stock. It's Magpul, really high quality, really nice. It's going to look nice on this weapon. Alright, so this is, like I said, about an 8-minute process. What you're going to need is you're going to need a flathead screwdriver, just like this, and some micro screwdrivers are going to be useful, not 100% necessary. You can do it without it, but it's going to make your life just a little bit easier. Alright, so after you take your AR-15 apart, after making sure it's safe, you're going to have the lower right here, and you're going to open up the back of the buttstock, or if it's a regular buttstock, it's already going to be open, and you're going to have a flathead screw in the back right here. So what you're going to do is you're going to get the screwdriver and just loosen the screw up. So I loosened the screw up just a little bit before I started the video, just to keep the video moving along over here. And there it is. Okay, so when you start taking the buttstock off the rifle, you have to be careful because there's a retainer spring right there. You see that? So that retainer spring, if you're not careful, can get away from you, and you don't want to lose that, because that retainer spring holds in the detente pin, or the retainer pin rather, to keep the upper and the lower attached. It's right here. You see, if this is out, there's nothing that holds that in place, and that can just slide freely. You see that? If the spring is in there, it'll hold that in. Oh, it just popped out. And so see, that is what can happen. If that pops out, there's a little notch right there, and you put it back in that way. Okay, anyway, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to put this stuff off to the side where we're not going to lose it. The next thing that we're going to do is get one of these micro screwdrivers. Okay, and you want to hold down, you have the buffer retainer spring right here. And that holds down the buffer tube, the spring, and the buffer tube, keeping it in there. So what you want to do is you want to hold that down as you turn the buffer tube on the buttstock. You're going to turn the buffer tube counterclockwise. Okay, so you're going to turn it to the left as you're holding that down, because this thing can shoot out of there. Just like that, okay? So it comes out really quickly. Here is the old buffer tube with the old buffer spring and buffer assembly. We're going to put that off to the side. We're going to throw this stuff out. So I'm going to put it off over here. Okay, here is the buffer retainer spring right here. Like I said, if you're not careful, this guy can get away from you. It can launch up in the air, hit you in the eye, or launch across the room and get lost. You don't want to have that get lost. It's going to be a real pain in the ass to try to find it, one, and you're not going to be able to put the rifle back together for the purpose of what we're doing right now. Okay, so anyway, next we're going to have our new buffer tube, and what I did with this buffer tube was I actually put on a new single point attachment sling attachment point right here, and that just slides on. You can see there's a notch at the bottom right there, and that's going to slide on with the little notch that has right on there, just straight. Okay, and it's going to go on just like that. So, now that we have that on, what we're going to do is push this spring back down. You know what, I'm actually going to use a little, I have another smaller screwdriver. I'm going to use this one. It's going to be just a little bit easier to grip. Okay, I'm just going to turn that in clockwise. Okay, so now here's the complicated part. Remember that retainer spring that I was telling you about that holds in the breakdown pin? So now this is going to be the complicated part of getting that back in if you have a new single point attachment spring. So what we're going to do is you're going to turn this off to the side. You're going to turn it about 90 degrees off to the side. You're going to put the retainer spring right back in its little housing right there. And you're going to get one of these little micro screwdrivers, and what you're going to do is you're going to hold that spring down, because this new single point attachment sling holder at the back there is not going to be able to fit in with that one. Let's see what screwdriver I should use. Now this is always a tricky part. So what you want to do is you want to hold the spring down. Let's see. Will you even be able to do it right now? Okay. See that? I'm holding it down just like that. And there the spring is being held in place. Okay, so what you're going to want to do now to tighten that spring up is put the new single point attachment spring, or sling attachment, flush against there. Oh, it just popped out. You see, this thing is really a pain to get done. Anyway, I was finally able to get the spring back in place. So what you want to do now is you want to tighten the castle nut, and the castle nut is right here. And as you're holding down that single sling attachment plate right there, you just tighten the castle nut, and you can see that the spring is in place and flush. Okay, it's still a little bit loose, and we're going to tighten that up in just a minute. Alright, so you can tighten the castle nut a little bit more by hand. You see that now the spring is in there, and the breakdown pin doesn't get loose. Okay, so next we're going to be putting in the buffer spring and buffer assembly. Oh, there goes the buffer right there. So again, this is a carbine length one. So what you want to do is just slide it right in there like that. Next, you're going to made a mistake. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to push down this retainer spring, buffer retainer spring right there first. Okay? Push that buffer retainer spring down, and then you're going to want to put in the spring. We're going to do that first, actually. Put the spring in first. Okay, and here is the buffer assembly. Okay, just like that. So you have to push that down with the spring before you're able to put the buffer spring back in. The buffer tube, buffer assembly, buffer spring. Okay, you got that right there? See that? That's on. Everything is tight. What you might want to do is, this is a AR-15 stock wrench. You can tighten the castle nut a little bit more with this. It is recommended. I mean, you don't need it. You can do it by hand. It's not going to be as tight. And what the stock wrench does is it just allows you to tighten the castle nut right here. It fits in to 3 grooves right there and allow you to get it really tight. Okay, just like that. It's really in there good now. Okay, so next what we're going to do is we're going to put on the buttstock. Now this Magpul buttstock you can put on 2 ways. Let's see, get in there. Why is it not going in? There it goes. So you can put it on 2 ways. You can put it on just like that, or what you can do is you can put on a connector piece first. Just like that. The connector piece will give you a couple more inches to have. It looks all flushed like that. So what you're going to do next is you're going to put in the spring right there, screw that in, connect everything up, and your AR-15 new carbine length buffer stock and tube is going to be all set to go. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Please subscribe. If any questions, please ask me. If you have to answer them. Take care guys.